This podcast represents the opinions of the hosts of the Laugh Cry Club and guests on the show. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is for informational purposes only. And because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we share is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of errors. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Laugh Cry Club. I am Joy.
Welcome. I'm Rebecca.
I'm Chelsea, and if you're an imperfect human who's been laughing and crying at the same time, then this podcast is for you.
Welcome, everybody. We're so glad you're here. Thank you for the support. We see those reviews coming in fast and furious on our apps.
Coming in hot.
We see those numbers of the audience growing, and it just makes us so happy that we are expanding the club. More people are finding the club, and that is all thanks to you for sharing this podcast. It means a lot to us. Just a reminder, we are 3 licensed therapists here to help you feel more human, and also just, you know what? We're all trying to figure it out. We're all messing up. We're all laughing, crying, feeling all the emotions. So we want you to just feel validated and normal. We start every episode with our laughs and cries of the week. We have a topic, and then we will preview what's coming up for next week.
First, I am going to give a nominee to somebody who's not in this room, to a few of our listeners who have been reaching out and sharing their adventures. We had somebody who talked about maybe going to get a tattoo that I thought was so fun.
Really? That's
Bonnie
awesome.
Bonnie is a listener of the Joy and Claire podcast, and I have met her. We went to Ireland together last year.
Really?
And Bonnie is just, hi Bonnie, you're the coolest.
Bonnie.
I love you so much. And
I love you too, Bonnie.
Yes, and we've been just getting these fun messages. People have been sharing, and I don't have it pulled up because this is spontaneous because I just thought of nominating how fun it is. So if you Laugh Cry Clubbers out there ever decide that you want us to give you a shout out when you send us a message, we can nominate you and share your fun laugh or your fun cry. I think that would be fun, right?
Yes.
That's awesome.
And more adventures. I swear that has helped me so much. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, all right, if I'm in a bad mood, I'm like, okay, what adventure? Today is just going to be an adventure. We're going to try to focus on that instead of focusing on maybe you're not in such a great mood. And it's great.
That's
a great idea. I should have used that this morning.
Well, on that note, I feel like our nominee over here is saying things with her face that she wants to say with her mouth. I would have nominated myself first because I think it's been a minute, but I now am reading facial expressions that are like people's faces, they yak and they're talking. That's
Really?
Rebecca's face now.
Rebecca has so much.
Do tell, Rebecca, your chatty face.
What's funny is I actually used to have a poker face, but
you don't
in today's
anymore.
world, I would say I do not have a poker face anymore.
On the Laugh Cry Club, where psychological safety is encouraged, Rebecca's face is yakking away. Totally authentic. Let's hear what you've got. Tag, Mama. You're it.
Yeah. Well, it's just been a kind of a crazy day. But so my laugh has to do with, we found a show called The Regime. Some of you may have watched it. It's got Kate Winslet in it, and I'm a big fan of hers. I really like her. Wow. Her acting in this limited series is amazing. She is like an unhinged dictator with a lot of psychological issues, this crazy love affair, and people are like gaslighting her, and she's believing like she's allergic to mold spores. It's like a psychological drama. Like you go on this roller coaster with her, and she's always talking about like, have a graceful mind. And she calls the people that she's ruling over as her loves. And it's so good. It's funny and just crazy altogether. I have never seen acting this great. Like I started reading about how she developed the character, and it was amazing listening to how she came up with this. And she said it was one of the most challenging things she's ever done. So if you haven't watched it, watch it.
Thank
Absolutely
you
amazing.
for that recommendation.
It's like 7 to 9 episodes long. It's a limited series. So
yet again, another recommendation from Rebecca. Put it on the watch list.
I believe it's on HBO.
Okay,
on Max.
great.
So yeah, definitely watch it. My cry is, It has to do with all of the California wildfire videos I'm seeing on social media and news. And the ones that are getting me, I mean, they're all very sad and make me cry, but the ones that are really getting me are these pet videos. And it must be what's in my feed because I get a lot of pet things. And there's this one video going around right now where this guy's being interviewed. He's like, oh my gosh, my house is up there. Like, because I guess he hadn't had an evacuation order. And he's like, my dogs are inside, and started, really melting down about it because the fire had moved so fast over the hillside. And so I guess him and the reporter went to a fire and they went to try to get them. They could only save one dog. And so he was just totally distraught because he's like, I rescued these dogs off the street. And then eventually they go back with him to his home because he's surveying the damage. Obviously, the home is no longer there, and he's got a squeaker toy. And here comes the dog that they couldn't find. He survived.
Oh
That's
my
a
god.
miracle. I know exactly what video you're talking about, and it is unbelievable.
It's so sad, like, the emotions. I was, like, crying with him, like, I wanna cry about it because 'cause I'm like, I know what that panic feeling is. I mean, of course, I haven't been in a wildfire situation, but if anything happens to your pet friend or family member that you love immensely, it's you just feel like broken and you would do anything. Like, I mean, I prepared in my household, like if there's a house fire, I've got leashes in my closet. I know exactly where to grab them so I can get them out because I'm so worried that something bad will happen. But it was so sad to see those videos.
Yeah, I know that is the reality of what's happening, and it's devastating. And this is a topic very timely for the topic we're talking about today too, of like what we can consume and really process. But sometimes I just have to shut it off because it's like especially anything to do with animals, I just can't. Like my brain won't go there. I will crawl in bed and cry all day. I can't. And I know it's bad. I know there's some horrible stories that it's just my heart goes out to that community.
Yes, definitely. It's so terrible and tragic. I'm gonna pass this over to Chelsea in her
Go
red
Chelsea.
headband and her sweater of
Pink
reds
and
and pinks and burgundy. I could. Some people say I'm colorblind, so I think that's
Yeah,
burgundy, or is it
so
black? I'm not sure.
it's a red and a navy and a pink.
Oh, it's navy. Okay, totally off.
Colorblind.
I get that all the time. I'll be like, "Oh, those are black socks." They're like, that's blue." So I don't know
Oh,
if I'm really technically
interesting.
colorblind.
Have you always been
Not as far as I
colorblind?
know, it's just what other people tell me.
Hmm.
I don't think I am.
I mean, I would give you the benefit of the doubt given that we're like on video. You're not in person, but in person, black and blue are different. Okay, so my laugh and my cry. So both of these things were volleyball related. So if you are a parent and you have a child that plays club sports, you're amazing. You're doing enough. You're doing more than enough. Please be proud of yourself because these sports are exhausting. So exhausting. So, my daughter had a tournament in New Orleans. It was complete insanity. It was just, you're driving, it's just like go 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 go. It's playing for hours, then it's team building, then it's waiting, then it's roughing. I mean, these are like all day events that go into the evening. You're in. It's loud. If like somebody like me who gets kind of like noise stimulation, like it is so loud. It's just a lot. So we had to find parking at this giant convention center where there was also like a Comic-Con thing going on. So they were like price gouging everywhere. Like the convention parking was filled up. The other like across the street convention, which is a part of the convention, they were charging $60 to park your car
Oh my
cash.
What?
gosh.
That's
So
like
I
concert parking.
Totally. Like, I was just, like, so annoyed because 'cause I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's already, like, it's already these are already like, traveling club sports is already really expensive." So I'm just like, "Okay, whatever." So I pay for the parking. We go in, and there's a long line with all the parents or whatever who are paying to get in, and then there's a line that says coaches and athletes. So I'm like, I'm a coach. I I had the team sweatshirt
Yeah,
on.
you are. You
If
are a
you're
coach.
listening, coaches, don't judge me. But I walked in with Charlie and her friend, and then I held character for like a good 20 minutes Charlie's volleyball friend had to get her ankles taped. So then I was like, well, I'm a coach on her team and her ankles have been giving her problems. And so we really need to make her. And she kept looking over because they're like teenagers. And she's like, okay, you don't have to keep. And I was like, and we have to work on boundaries because of the way she's talking to me right now. Like, I never broke character. My
Oh my
daughter and
gosh.
her teammate were like dying. And anytime I could like get in an opportunity to talk about how good I was as a coach and
That
how
is
great our team was and how the kids
amazing.
needed more respect, I just kept chatting it up with I don't know what it was, the foot wrapper person who has a medical degree, I'm pretty sure,
Like
and
the
is not called a
trainer.
At that point, you should have just been
Ye
like, "And I'm also a doctor."
yeah.
By the way. By the way, you're totally wrapping that incorrectly. Here's the tape that I like to use.
I mean, and nobody cares. Like they have these physical people, they're all at the tournaments and they help. Like if you hurt your shoulder, if you need to get ice, if you need to get whatever. But then okay, so that was my laugh. But then as I was watching him, so sweet and so efficient, like wrapping her ankles, and then she'd like cut her toenail too short. So he was like, here, let's put a band-aid on that. And he's like fixing her toe. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so nurturing and nice. And then I felt really sad because I'm like, when was the last time like anybody ever took care of me this nice? Like, you know what I mean? Like it was VIP. You know, I was talking about Kipsy last week, my dog. Like he gets VIP top dog
Yeah,
service,
yeah.
right? Like I don't remember the last time I had like a VIP. Like I needed to give myself some
Yes,
VIP
you do.
service.
I think
So
we all could use
Yes.
some VIP. Yeah.
Mhm.
I do, and I got good at it before Christmas a little bit, and then I've fallen off. So I came home, going into my car. I was so exhausted. I was feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't know when the last time I had downtime. I was in that like that funk of like I have no more energy to give. I'm drained. If I have to talk to one more person or even hear the radio on my 3.5 hour drive home, I'm like gonna lose it. I don't know if that happens to people, but I
Oh,
was
that totally
overstimulated
happens.
and
Yeah,
dysregulated.
yeah.
Okay. So I get home and I walk in and my husband's sitting on the couch. He's so happy. Our son's sitting and they're watching football and I'm carrying up the bags. And he's like, do you need help? And I was like, no, just sit there and enjoy your football. Like so mean. This man has stage 4 cancer. Like he is doing his personal best, bonding with our son. And I felt like such a huge bitch. And so I decided to like not talk anymore and just go and lay in bed with my animals and look at pictures on my phone of my family. And then I felt happy again. And I've gently eased back into the world. But I was like exhausted, like that exhausted. So it wasn't like a cry. It was like that
Oh,
irritable,
yeah.
like one thing
Mhm.
might push me over
My
the
friend and
edge.
I have
Yeah.
a I'm very introverted and I have a really introverted friend. And this applies to anyone, really. It doesn't mean extroverts don't get tired, but you get a point where we call it that you're full. She's like, I'm full. Like we'll be at a party or we're doing something social on the weekend. And she'll look at me and she'll be like, I'm full. We're good. It sounds like you hit that point where you just like I truly can tell when I switch over from I'm having a good time, I'm handling things in life to like ding, oh no, emergency. I need to go find a quiet place and rock a little bit.
Yeah, and I knew that was happening because we got there Friday night, we went to dinner, we had, like, a lovely dinner, it was social, it was fun. The next morning was, like, an easy kind of easing into the volleyball and then the volleyball tournament went on, and then we had, like, a late night team bonding dinner, which I'm like, this is gonna be too much. And then we had to be up at 6 a.m. the next day to go back. So I knew I was pushing it. I'd even tried to meditate. Like I'm a great meditator, so I can meditate in the chaos. I can like close my eyes and I will sit and meditate and surrounded by this chaos. I can do that. I tried to do those things, but I think it was just too late. It was just
You were full, it
the
was
the
done.
price we pay as parents to provide these experiences, and I'm an extrovert, but I need a lot of alone
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
so I need
Yeah.
a lot of alone time, so I recentered. I've been very gentle on myself. I've been thinking of the foot wrapper guy who I'm pretty sure is like a doctor. I
I
keep
love
calling
that
him
you're
the foot
referring to him as
wrapper.
Foot
a foot
wrapper.
wrapper.
He
Like,
was just
is he
so
like a
efficient.
rapper? Like, I'm
No,
doing my
like he
rap.
was doing okay, the
I
audience
can't
can't
rap,
see it, but you
but
had her little foot and he had the tape and it was the quickest most efficient, like OCD. I've never seen it. My kid has gone to these whatever their sports people lots of times. I've never seen somebody that good. So he was like
Wow.
amazing.
Did you
Yeah.
compliment him on his skills?
Of course I did, as
I
I
bet you
complimented
did.
myself about my good job I
Yeah,
was
and that
doing
you're
with my
also a
team
doctor
and
that does
taking
a good
care of
job
my
taping feet. Yeah.
yeah, taking care of
Yeah.
my girls' ankles, wink, 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 and them looking at me like, "Oh my gosh, stop it." Annoying
Wow.
teenagers is fun because they're annoying, and then annoying them back is even more hilarious, and I think they
Oh
secretly
my
love it.
gosh, what a
So,
fun adventure. What a fun adventure to just,
laughed
like,
and cried.
have a fun rando moment by pretending you're someone else.
It was really fun. So, with that said, I am going to pass it over to our newest rando lover, one who at the beginning of these podcasts was like, I am not getting in anyone's business. She has changed her mind. She's making human connections constantly. This is above and beyond her already animal connections that she does on a regular basis. Our cutest, sweetest, most
Sweet, sweet,
wonderful, sweet, sweet,
sweet
sweet,
I'm
joy.
making up a song, I'm trying to
wonderful
think of a song, I'm like,
joy.
If you wanna be a rando lover."
You better
Gotta get with
be
my
friends with joy.
friends. Making friends is easy. Na,
Be a
na, na,
rando
na, na.
lover.
Be a
Thank
rando.
you for that introduction. I am embracing the rando loving.
I love it, Joy. I
It
love
you
it
know
so
what? It
much.
really is a game changer. It is such a game changer. I just you have such a different experience with the world and with people, and you always have the option to pivot if you need to, but it has changed the energy of my interactions. Okay. This week, I'll start with my cry. My cry was on January 11th. So 111, 111, which I didn't put together like the angel number of it all until this happened. But my best friend's grandma passed away on January 11th. It was also the anniversary of my grandmother passing away 10 years ago on January 11th. This is one of my I have, we all have like 50 best friends, but this is a very dear friend, my closest friend from grad school. And she lives in Montana now. And we always talk about like how close we are, that if she does something, I have to do it. Like we copy each other. Everything in our life has like this funny parallel at times. And so when she was telling me that her grandma was in her 90s, just lived a wonderful, beautiful life. Of course, it's just so sad to lose someone you love. And I said, when she was telling me that she had a stroke and she was like on her way out, I joked in those moments, this was like the perfect laugh cry, if you will, of saying, wouldn't it be funny? It would be like the ultimate tether for us to have our grandmothers have like the same death anniversary.
Oh my
And I was like,
gosh.
wouldn't that be silly? Because we always joke about how our lives parallel each other. Because she's like, my grandma's in the hospital. She's not doing well. And then 2 hours later, she's like, well, we are forever tethered because our grandmothers have.
Wow.
And so we had like a nice little cry. I very much cried, but we also laughed. It's just like, it was such a beautiful example of like exactly why we do this podcast. Of we cried so much and I was just feeling for her and I know exactly how that feels, and then thinking, wow, our grandmas are hanging out together, they have the same death anniversary, and how silly it was that we yet again have a parallel life. But then I was looking at the date and I was like, oh my gosh, 111111, all these ones. I was like, oh my gosh, it's such an angel number. And no joke, when I hung up the mark, because I was doing Marco Polo with her, I looked at my phone and it was 1111. And I was like, well, okay, that's just more valid. It was very
Whoa.
bizarre. So that
Love it.
was a good like laugh cry combo. More of a cry. My laugh was I actually met with Marianne yesterday for, speaking of animal communication. I scheduled some time with her because I really have been wanting to talk with
Yay.
JT, my senior dog. I just laughed the whole time because not only did she validate everything that I've like kind of been wanting to know about JT, and my anxiety spikes because he's old, that I'm trying so hard not to put my anticipatory grief on him. But I said to her, is he okay that he doesn't sleep on the bed with us? This is one of the questions I ask. Cause she'll ask you like, what do you want to know? Like, what questions do you want to know? What do you want him to tell you? Things like that. And I said, cause Joe sleeps on the bed. Joe is a tinier dog. Okay. So he's limber and he can jump on the bed. And after he was released from training, all bets are off with rules. So we don't care about him being on the bed. And JT lays on a dog bed just next to us, right? And it's harder for him to get on the bed because he's older and he can't jump that easily. So when he wants up, he kind of looks at you on the side of the bed and he just stares. And we'll always tell him, like, when we go to bed at night, okay, go lay down, go lay down. It's so cute because he, like he can't see over the bed, but you can see his little eyes like looking up at you,
Oh, no. It's so cute.
So you just,
Oh, he's the
all of a sudden you just
cutest.
see these little eyes like, are you letting me, are you going to let me up? And I always tell him to go lay down because two dogs on the bed is like, we would just be so cramped and not have good sleep, right? Every once in a while we'll do it. But I asked Marianne, I said, is it okay that we do that? And she goes, well, let me ask him. Absolutely not. He hates it. And I started
What?
cracking up because I was like,
What?
I
JT.
knew it. I know that but he's so sweet that he just like does what he's told. But she's like, it's absolutely not okay with him. And you need to figure that out because he's like, I'm the senior and Joe's just the baby. And like, why can't I sleep on the bed with you?
You know what I'll do? I'll come build him some stairs because I've had to do this numerous times. I've built stairs. I'm really great at building doggy stairs for big
Yes,
dogs.
yes.
I'll come on over.
Okay, great, because that was we had such a good laugh because it's like, of course he hates it and he loves to cuddle. He wants nothing more than to lay on the bed with us and just like snuggle in. So we had a really good laugh at that. And it was just a lovely, lighthearted meeting that just made my heart so happy. So that was my laugh. And thank you again, Marianne,
That's so
for being
awesome.
such a wonderful guest. We got great feedback. And
Yes.
if you haven't yet listened to the animal communication episode, that was just the one right before this one, where we talked about pet loss and how to communicate with your animal. Okay, let's kick off the topic of this week, which is how we navigate all of the news that's coming at us every day, fast and furious, and stay informed, but stay mentally healthy. Not only that, is just objectively, the world feels pretty heavy and has for quite some time. So not only are we having to deal with being a human in life, we have to also see devastation that's going on around us, what feels like constant. So where do we want to start this conversation?
Oh my gosh.
How about starting with the elephant in the room, right? That it's really
Yeah.
hard to see all
Yeah.
this. Like, let's just acknowledge how difficult it is when you see this stuff on the news or now it's all over your social media. And if you look at one video, guess what?
Right.
It just keeps giving it to
Right.
you.
And kind of adding that to that too, Rebecca, is I'll just throw out like my own struggle sometimes, which is how much do you stay informed, but not too much that you're kind of paralyzed by it all, but you don't want to ignore it, but you also want to know what's going on so you can, it feels like there's so much going on that you don't know where to analysis paralysis of how can I help? Because that's where I think my brain goes to is like, I feel completely helpless to this situation, these situations.
I think when we go back to the elephant in the room, that this is happening all the time. I think, we're getting inundated in tons of information. We are witnessing other people's trauma, which then means that we are going to physically experience something. So emotions are contagious. If I'm watching somebody extremely anxious, I'm going to feel anxious. Like that is contagious. If I'm watching somebody's grief and loss, I'm going to experience something. How much or how little, it depends on how sensitive you are. This is something that used to happen to me. It still does as a therapist, but not the same way. In the beginning, when my specialization for the first, 20 years of my career, I worked primarily with sexual trauma, gang rapes, overdoses, incest. I mean, just you name it. I was hearing about it. And I had nightmares, chronic nightmares for years. Always. I had, basically what we would call vicarious trauma, right? You're hearing the details, you're witnessing it. I'm highly sensitive, so I'm feeling all of the feelings. It took me a really long time to learn how to manage my energy and protect myself emotionally to be able to do this work. So when we think about that, that's a skill set that I've learned because this is a profession that I've been in for my entire adult life. When we're watching the news exposure, I mean, think about a little kid who doesn't have any skills, doesn't have an understanding, and they're just taking in massive burning fires, this shooting that happened here, this that happened there. So that is really dangerous for us energetically to take in that information. So I want to start with that, where like emotions are contagious. When we start to see things that are upsetting, we are going to feel upset, even if it's not happening to us. That is a normal human
Yeah.
response to seeing things. So there's
I
that.
also want to highlight, because we pulled some resources too before we started this episode, just kind of how negative news coverage impacts mental health. And let's just say like news coverage, because a lot of it just really objectively is really hard to watch. So it can start the body's fight or flight response, which adrenaline is released. We've talked about this before. Stress hormones happen. And then we experience some symptoms we might feel if we're like actually under the threat. You could have physical sensations like rapid heart rate, shallow breathing, your stomach could be upset. So, really paying attention to those physical symptoms, because like we were talking about earlier, there's videos I watch and I just physically feel ill. And I don't think we really stop to think like how this is really affecting, like we're taking it in. Let's put a pin in something else I want to say too, where I feel like we also have to we have to face it, but you don't have to take it in. I think there's a difference of like, we have to know what's happening, but we don't have to take it in and then absorb it. So the other statistic that we have is the news increases depression and anxiety symptoms, which I think is very obviously something that most everyone can experience, or it can relate to, I should say. One study found that people showed an increase in symptoms after only 14 minutes of news consumption. In my brain, I'm like, that feels like a lot, because sometimes even after 5 minutes, I wonder if there's updates on that. And these symptoms are made worse when people feel they have no ability to improve the situation. So feeling helpless, like I said. So those are kind of some things to start thinking about as being maybe intentional when we are looking at our phones. The other thing that's really hard is our feeds sometimes just pop things up that we weren't ready for. Where in the past, before social media, you chose the news stations, you had a local news station, you chose the things that you were watching. Right now, the choice is taken away from us as we scroll, and all of a sudden you see this video pop up that you didn't opt in for.
And there's a layer there when we talk about those statistics of the fight and flight response, which is a trauma response, or the increase of depression and anxiety. The deeper layer of this is if you've had this experience yourself, say you experienced a natural disaster and you're watching, like that happens when I watch the hurricanes, having gone through a hurricane here, and I see all the devastation. And it's like, I remember what that felt like. I remember how horrible that was. The same thing. I had this when I worked with individuals after the Las Vegas concert shooting, people who had been in another traumatic experience that involved, a mass shooting or a gun, and then that reliving as though that was happening to them, even though they weren't even there. And so we have this under this layer of emotions that we can connect with these experiences other people have had. And that makes it even harder. So imagine that, right? You're on social media, you're scrolling, and all of a sudden you get some news article that's completely triggering and activating. That's where we have to really work on kind of the tips and tricks and parameters of how we navigate taking in
So
information.
would something like an idea to solve for that be, how, if you want to know the news, try to read it, have a news app where you get to pick what you're consuming. If you see a headline, you're like, okay, I'm going to browse through that, versus like really, I think there's something different between reading something and then being shown actual footage, where we're constantly, everyone has a camera. You're seeing countless videos of people running through the fires, running through the LA fires, for example, things that we just didn't have as much access to before social media was around.
I also want to point out too that I don't know if anybody else goes through this, but I find myself sometimes after the feed happens and it's let's say a fire video recently is what's coming up, then the next one, I am in it. Like, I'm not maybe feeling like the trauma of it, but I'm like zoned in and I can't get out of it. And then it's the next one. And then I was starting to think about, why am I so in it? And then I actually will research some other videos, and it's like I keep researching it. And it's like I started thinking, what is wrong with me for seeking this stuff out, right? Because it seems kind of like most people aren't doing this, but I think we are. And so I started researching, like, why are we looking at these traumatic things happening? It's all related to like psychological factors, that we have like a natural curiosity about danger. Like when I say danger, all of a sudden I just felt all these chemicals shoot up in my body. I got
Yeah.
very activated, but not for me, it wasn't a negative activation. It probably would become that, but I felt like the high, the adrenaline started releasing. There is like this emotional impact of witnessing suffering too. And that happens too. Like you're witnessing it. And then often the media is presenting this in some captivating way, which draws you in. It's all the stories.
I wonder if this is why people like true crime so much too. Yeah.
It probably is because like, that's some serious stuff too, like, you're seeing it all the time, but, we humans are hardwired to be alert to potential threats, and then we witness these events or, like, high stakes disasters or whatnot, and it triggers our primal curiosity, and it's a attention-grabbing response, so that helped me normalize what I was thinking might be a problem because I not we don't wanna say I was
I
enjoying it, but
totally
I couldn't
understand.
get
I
out of
totally
it.
understand.
You know what I'm saying? And I think some other people might be able to relate with that too.
And the other protective factor here is that our brains are wired for survival. It's the reason why we drive by a car accident and we slow down.
Yes.
It's not because it's like, "Oh, I enjoy seeing people who are hurt." It's like, "What kind of car got hit?
How did this
How did it
happen?
look?
Yep.
How did this happen?" Your brain is constantly gathering information to protect you, and so that is it, right? A true crime, any young college girl who's dating is like, "Let me watch this and make sure I stay away from this
Yeah.
psycho who might
It's
kill
so
me," right?
true.
So we are constantly taking in information. We're drawn to seeing that danger, that damage as a way to protect ourselves, to prevent us from having that happen. I mean, how many times have you seen a car accident? You're like, I will never drive that type of car.
Mhm.
Look at how mangled
Yeah.
that is.
Mhm.
And so again, there's that really hardwired part of our brain that is like, I want you to survive. So I'm going to show you this. We're going to remember this. We're going to store this in your body. So Rebecca, that feeling you're talking about, let's give you some adrenaline with it. Let's give you some feeling with it, because that's how we really store. We can store a thought, but when you add emotion, the body's like, yes, now I
Yep.
remember.
I think you're right because when I'm watching these things, I'm thinking in the back of my head, how am I escaping? What am I going to do in this?
I bet you every single person who's listening to this has thought about what they need in case of a fire in their own home. And I would bet half of those people, if you've had a thought, have started gathering things and putting them in a spot that you could escape with them if you needed to quickly. I know for myself, guess what? When we just moved into this house, I realized I couldn't find my fire extinguisher after this fire. I immediately was like, "Where's our fire extinguisher?" And Scott's like, "Oh, I don't know. We lost it somewhere in the move." Guess what? We immediately bought 3 fire extinguishers for like each floor. So we have completely absorbed that in a way too of trying to protect ourselves, because you look at this and you immediately go to, what would I do to keep myself safe, or what would I do in this scenario? Because it's unimaginable. And to your point, it's trying to keep ourselves alive.
So let's take that part and look at how we can add some tips and tricks. We're talking, Joy just mentioned again, the self-protection. So this is, when you think of self-protection, this can also be a way that you set your intention for how you take in information. So for example, I've been really drained from that New Orleans volleyball, all of that. Probably have some hormones thrown in there as well that just jack everything right up for me. But
Woohoo!
yeah, I'm not looking at the news. I started to go, I read Apple News like on my phone, and it just kind of gives me whatever. And I'm like, energetically, how do I feel? Drained, annoyed, tired, over it, peopled out. What do I need right now? I started to do the habit to look at the news, and instead went to the pictures on my phone and started looking at pictures of my family and my pets and all of that, because I knew that that would calm my nervous system. My nervous system was already jacked. I didn't need to take in any more information. If the world is exploding, somebody's going to call me and let me know. I have a lot of friends in California with the fires. We're texting, we're keeping in contact, we're following up with that. Social media has been a hard no for me. I don't think I've been on at all, other than posting the stuff that's been scheduled to be posted for our social media, but like really being intentional, like my energy is low. This is going to take me lower. So do I need to take in this information? So even if you're scrolling headlines, you can look like, how's this going to make me feel? Do I need to read about the celebrity who did this, and that? Oh, here's a feel good story. Maybe that would make me feel good. For the social media part, whatever it is that you're looking up and searching, they're going to feed. So you're not going to get a choice with what's coming up with that. So that's that's going to be, do I behaviorally pause and take it in and click on it? Or do I scroll past it? And then do I even need to be on social media right now? Which, we all have an addiction to our phones and to taking in information. So I would say be radically protective of your own energy and then empower yourself to make a choice. Is this something that's going to, like, how much do I need to know right now?
It feels automatic, all the things that are coming at you that we don't stop and think about. When you said nervous system overwhelm, this might seem very like basic 101, but can you describe to people that might not even be in touch with their physical what does that mean? What might someone feel if their nervous system is out of whack or overloaded?
Yeah. So I think an easy way to describe this would be, we have a certain amount of energy throughout the day and we get a certain amount of energy and we give out some of that and we replenish that. And so there's things that are giving us joy, being with your pets, it's giving you energy, having a hard work call that might completely drain you. So throughout the day, your nervous system is trying to regulate. So your emotions are trying to regulate. We are socially conditioned to, you have a tough work call. You're not telling, hopefully, your employer, like, hey, let me, curse you out or say these things that hijack part of your brain that's angry and thinking all the things, but behaviorally not acting. You're now storing that in your nervous system. You're storing those emotions. That energy is getting stored and stuck. It's like that, like, I'm going to combust. So I think of it as like a Coke bottle. You're shaking up a Coke bottle over and over and over again. Maybe you're getting energy because you're taking some drinks, but if you're not taking drinks, you're opening it and that is going to explode. You are raw. And so that can happen from you sat in traffic and then you had somebody who cut you off and then somebody almost hit you and then your kid was crying the whole car ride. And, you heard something that came up on the news that was upsetting. And all of these things are taking your energy and you're trying to hold it together. When you get to that part where you're kind of white knuckling it, where you walk in and your husband is enjoying football, who has stage 4 cancer, says, do you need help? And you say, no, watch your football in a really passive aggressive way, your nervous system is overwhelmed.
Mhm. Mhm.
This also reminds me of the spoon theory.
It is like, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I know a lot of
Wait, what is
times it's
that?
talked about with chronic
Okay.
pain, but so the spoon theory is ultimately you wake up every morning with a allotted number of spoons. That can be different for all of us. Maybe I've got 20 spoons. Chelsea, she's so energetic, she's got 30, and maybe you've got 15. I don't know. Or maybe you have more than that, but we all are very unique. And so you have these spoons for the day. And like Chelsea was saying, like that, the traffic, maybe on today's drive home, it was terrible and it took 3 of my spoons. And then I have to go to my kids' practice, but I'm running late and they forgot this thing. So that takes another 2 spoons. And it's like everything in your day is taking a spoon away. And so you've got to save some spoons for the rest of your day. So if you're out of your spoons by noon, forget it. The day is over for you. So
Yeah.
you've got
Then
to,
you turn
yeah,
on the news and now you're negative.
negative. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to fill it up. And that's where we have to be intentional with what we're consuming.
Oh,
So
that's a
you're
really good way of
ultimately
looking
talking
at it,
about
yeah.
healthy boundaries, right?
Yeah, because as you're talking about it, I'm like, I don't think of the news that way, and I really need to start doing that because I don't think of it as like, well, this is taking my energy. I just think about it more passively, but I need to be honest with myself of how it is affecting me, and I'm wondering if people out there listening feel that as well. But Rebecca, I wanted to backtrack of what you said around like looking for things and seeking it out, because I've done that before with when tragedies happen, specifically school shootings, specifically things that are just the 24/7 news cycle. I will have this weird reaction at times where I can't look away, where I keep looking for more. And it is that figuring it out of trying to keep yourself safe. How did this happen? Because I think at this point, we're all very well aware that a tragedy could happen to any one of us at any time, because that's just the kind of the world that we live in. Now, how can we conserve our energy to where if we are going to consume media, like how much do we have left, and making that choice versus letting it passively come out at you to say, how much do I want to give to this, is a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, I would say too that I think we keep looking at it at times, like you were saying, because we want to figure it out because it's so unbelievable and our brain wants to understand. It's like if you're in a relationship with somebody that does something really terrible and you just can't stop like obsessing about the thing, that's the same thing we're talking about. It's just unbelievable. And it just keeps happening time after time after time. It's like for me, it was like in the 80s, the Challenger disaster. I
Oh, yeah.
remember it as clear
Oh,
as
yeah.
day. And it was like unbelievable because it was like nobody could wrap their heads around that this actually happened because nobody believed it could. You know, at this point in our lives, we've been through a lot, right, as a society. So I think the next thing is kind of not surprising. It's not surprising, but then you kind of have the shootings and they get amped up, like the Las Vegas shooting. That was a huge one. It was like, really? Like, that's unbelievable. The next thing happens. It's unbelievable. These fires are like unbelievable. Like, this the whole place is wiped out, the Palisades, and like people, you just can't understand how this could be happening. And I think that's when we go to sometimes you're never going to understand, so you just have to let it go.
Or letting it go too, I would say, is focusing on what you can control. You know, like right now, mine basically is if somebody lets me know that there's a GoFundMe for someone in the fire, then I'm going to donate. You know, checking on my loved ones, that's something that I can do. You know, being able to notice, like, I've been feeling drained. So my thing has been to be like of service to other people, which sounds counterintuitive to being drained, but it's actually like
It fills
when
you
you do
up.
something nice for somebody, it fills
It
you.
does.
Yeah. So mine is, yeah, like mine's like, yeah, do you need help with something? Sure, no problem. I'll take care of it. I'll do, you know, whatever. That's something that actually gives me energy sometimes is when I can be of service, get out of my head, think about something else. Right. So we can take this down on a really small level. And when the world feels out of control, because it is, right? We have wars, we have natural disasters, I mean, there's so much trauma that we are witnessing every single day. It is important to then come back to yourself and say, what is it that I can focus on? I can focus on loving the people in my life and letting them know what they mean to me, because God forbid something happens. I can take the extra time to call and connect. Taking it down behaviorally to what connects with your values. Like my values, the two most important things, time and love. Those are my most important things on this earth. Those are things that I can then make sure that I am living in alignment with. And that can help to soften the harshness of what it is to be so helpless, feel so helpless in a world with so much tragedy going on.
That's a really good point, Chelsea. I totally agree with you.
Thanks for sharing that.
Doing something kind for someone else really fills you up. It takes me out of my head of being like, all right, let's stop focusing on you and what's going on in your brain and like reaching out and helping someone. So on that same note, to kind of wrap up this conversation, this feels like we could talk forever about it, is the thing that I see that happens a lot on social media is people being unkind and comparing and doing the at least you this, or, you know, especially around celebrities right now. It's so interesting. It's such a weird thing how people just kind of naturally want to tear them down. Like, you know, this celebrity lost their house and they're like, I am posting a GoFundMe for my friends. And they're like, well, don't you have enough money to just pay for it? It's like that behavior to me, you know, everyone's going to handle tragedy differently. Just because you may not understand, I feel like our audience would never do something like this, but just I have to say it out loud, is, you know, just because maybe you don't understand an action doesn't, we're all handling it differently. And just be kind and give grace. And I feel like there could be so much more goodness that comes out of that energy instead of trying to tear people down. So that's just something that if you're feeling negative and you're feeling a certain way, process it, do whatever you need to do for self-care, but turning it outward rarely is a good result.
And remember, we're all imperfect humans. Every single person is in the Laugh Cry Club.
Is in the club, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, you don't know it yet, but you are in it.
Dun, 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 welcome to the club. Here we are.
Guess what? You're in this club.
Here we are. Yeah, and even if you don't know you're in the club, guess what?
You're in the club.
You'll be receiving a letter.
You will be
soon
receiving your
Actually,
membership.
an invoice.
An invoice.
An invoice, because now we have to do some work, right? Our original club members, they're already in. They've already done the work. They're aware that they're not perfect. They're not posting horrible things that make people have to snooze them and unfollow them. That's not happening at the Laugh Cry Club. But the ones who don't know, I'm actually going to start coming up with some invoices and randomly mailing them to unkind humans on social media.
I love it.
Would that be?
I love it.
Okay, I'm not going to do it, but it would be hilarious.
It would be.
If you get one, it's Chelsea.
It's Coach. It's Coach
Chelsea.
to you.
That's Coach Chelsea to you, Coach Walsh.
That's right. Coach Walsh. Okay, so on this note of invoicing people, which we're not going to do to any of our listeners, next week's I'm so excited for next week. We are going to talk about attachment. So, we all have different attachment styles that we get to really hold on to
and
and
just
defend
yeah, and
against and protect
fight
against.
against, and it
And
just comes out. This has
It's a whole
this has
fun.
circled so much on TikTok, so I'm really glad that we're going to talk about it from
oh,
a it
really?
has. It's kind of been
Perfect.
in the zeitgeist of mental health for attachment styles, but we would like to talk about it from a mental health perspective from licensed therapists who
Yes.
really got to know their stuff. So, next week will be attachment styles, Chelsea. What do we need our listeners to know when they tune into that?
We need to know that I'm going to ask Rebecca enjoy their attachment
Cool, cool,
styles.
cool.
Oh,
And
awesome.
and we can talk about, the therapeutic relationship and how we have that opportunity to repair and connect and how we can build different attachment styles, how we can start to recognize where we're vulnerable and take some practical steps to help build our own secure attachment with ourselves, and then we can change our attachments in our relationship. So attachment's really exciting, and I think it's at the foundation of what we all want, which is to belong and to be seen and to be loved. And so I think it's going to be I don't really like the word fruitful, but it's going to be a fruitful
It just
conversation.
it appears in every relationship we have, and it's so interesting. So I'm excited for that conversation.
Maybe you should guess our attachment styles, Chelsea,
Oh my gosh.
and
Wow.
let's see
I
if you're
think
correct.
I think you're both avoidant attachments. That's what I would guess. I would guess that
Oh, you're gonna
you're
guess
Oh,
already. We're not gonna wait till next show.
oh,
Okay, we don't have to do next week's episode after
we're
all.
skipping next week. We're just jumping right in.
I mean, I would guess that there's a little bit of avoidant, I would say, for both of you.
So stay
Stay
tuned to next week
cliffhanger,
episode to hear
cliffhanger.
more.
Hold
If
on, what do you think I am? Oh, come on.
I would say avoidant too. Are
Yeah.
you anxious?
Actually, I'm gonna say anxious attachment.
Well, we'll have to wait until
Ah!
next week.
Well, looking at her face, she was like, "Okay, I can't wait to have this conversation." All right. So,
This will be fun,
Laugh
everybody.
Cry Clubbers in the club. Thank you so much for your support. You can find us on social media at Laugh Cry Club. If you haven't seen our Instagram yet, Rebecca continues to kill it with the weather reporting. So we've had some sunny days. We haven't had too many snow reports, but go back and watch them because they're hilarious.
And that would be intentional news that would actually give you more
Yes,
spoons.
release more
It
spoons.
would. I actually received feedback from somebody that was watching that and said it helped them get through the weekend because they actually live in California. They live South LA, but that it helped them kind of get through the weekend instead of looking at all
Oh,
the news
see,
there. I was like,
that's so
yay.
great. That's so
Oh.
great. We're just trying to give you some spoons here. So hopefully this episode gave you some spoons. Thank you so much for your support. And if you like this episode, if you like the podcast, the best way to support us is to share it. So share it and tag us on your social media, share it with a friend, and leave a review. That also helps people find us. So until next week,
5 stars, 5
5
stars, 5
stars
stars.
5
all
stars
around.
For
only.
sensitive therapists with attachment issues.
Yes, that you cannot give us anything less.
And the world is hard, and we're trying to protect
Yeah, we
ourselves.
really
We're
are.
trying to protect ourselves.
It's
So you all need to protect us with 5
it's
stars.
Gonna mess you with us.
it's up to you. It is all up to you. Putting it on your shoulders. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
That's life, baby.